Hello there, thanks for stopping by. Welcome to Messing About with a Narrowboat. This week, my plan is to finish off the bulkhead, but as you can probably see behind me, that the boat got moved into the polytunnel during the week. So I've finished off a few bits of the bulkhead just to get me at a closure point, and then we'll start focusing on painting the boat. Just making a template. This is only 3mm cheap ply. I'm going to practice my scribing skills. So I want to get this board up against that wall. So I've cut a piece of offcut, which is the width of the biggest gap, and then I'm going to run my pencil down it. Very difficult to see that. Basically, putting my pencil and a bit of wood, and I'm just going to run it down. That should give me give me that bit. Then I need to draw that bit across there. Do that with a straight edge in a minute. And then basically the same down to the ground. So yeah, I've now got a line all the way down and down the bottom. That shape should take this piece all the way into the lintel, the stud. Hey, look at that. I just need to slide it in, and then up the top I'll just keep on scribing that till I get it right. And we just keep going, so I'm using my block plane for fine trimming. And that's it. Then a wee bit further, and I'm still jammed up here, so I'll probably take that wee bit off there. It's easier than using it's easier than taking it back and using the jigsaw. Except when your blade moves. Getting there, still a wee bit off there. Don't want to take too much off. Well, blow me down. Look at that. So I'm going to continue getting that a nice close fit. And then what I'll do is, once I've got the shape right, and it's that shape that I'm mostly interested in, I'll use that and I'll put that onto the expensive bit of wood and use it as a guide. So there we are, full size scribed template. Now, I guess I know that I could have just used strips of wood and made a template, but I really wanted to practice scribing, and I thought, for what was that piece of wood, £15 for 2 bits? I mean, why not? Practice it, and it makes me really happy, that. So next trick is I'll make sure it fits on the other side and on the starboard side, and if it's a good enough template, I'm going to use that edge really everywhere. Yeah, so that's it on the other side. It's brilliant. Yay! I'm a scribing expert, not a measuring expert, but a scribing expert. Yay. So I've also bought some Celotex or expanding foam, one with the foil in it, and I'm going to put that in those gaps. That will create a bit of soundproofing. Anyway, so yeah, I'm going to put some Celotex in here. Now, it comes in 2 sizes, 25mm or 1 inch, or 2 inches, 50mm. These are only 38mm deep, so can't use the 50mm, obviously. And that's slightly smaller, but I'll just tack it in with some spray foam. Right, let me check the port side. And it fits well, not perfect on the other side, but it fits very well. We'll just need to fettle it in when it comes to the real thing, just a little bit. Well, actually, that all fitted on the port side all the way up, so that'll do me the 4 bits of wood there. So I've had a few days off. It kind of got to me, that bulkhead. And I was getting a bit stressed by it, but thanks to all your comments and the tips, I've been okay. So I'm back at the boat and cracking on with this bloody bulkhead. But I think I've got it right. The compromise definitely is it's an 800 quadrant, or 800 by 900 quadrant, but either way 800 wide. And that's the compromise, and that keeps everything the way I want it to be. Yeah, many hours later, I've got the bulkhead, and I've got the door space that I want. I'm just going to put some noggins in there and strengthen all of that up. Oh, look at that. After a fairly long day, I've got the stud up. Not quite finished. I want to make battens or noggins across there for strength, but in the doorway, but my back's a bit sore, and bending has been a challenge. I had to take lots of breaks, so yeah, a day. So 3 days so far of building the bulkheads, which I think for an amateur is not too bad. I know people can do it in a day or a weekend, but you know, I'm fat and old. And I can get through that, and there'll be a door frame on there. It's about a centimetre too short, but again, adapt and overcome, that's not a problem. And while I was doing my final checks, I noticed it shifted. So it's ever so slightly not square. Must have been when I put the screws in the top. So I can easily undo them. This isn't affecting everything. I'll undo the screws and just straighten it up, but I'll do that tomorrow. But yeah, once the lining goes up, the door goes up, that's pretty good. I'm very happy, and an 800 shower tray fits perfectly. So it's another day, and I'm in my garage. My back, yeah, I've just pulled a muscle and it's pretty sore. I've had a day off. I'm still kind of hobbling about a bit, so I decided come in. I've got an 8x4 sheet of ply. I'll chop it up, ready for the lining of the bulkheads. So that's my last 2 full sheets of plywood cut in half, and that will do the bulkhead linings for the saloon. All I'm going to do now is just paint them up, seal them. You know, you've seen that loads of times, so I'll show you when I'm done. If I can continue to stand though, it's painful. Moving forward, keep moving forward. If your leg's not hanging off, you go to school. There we are, 2 sheets, first of 3 coats of primer. And you'll know from previous episodes, I really like to make sure that the inside, the hidden edge of the plywood is properly sealed. So I've turned up to the boat to do some more work on the bulkheads. And the boat has moved into the shed. So, time to start sanding and painting. Okay. Right, so I've managed to get on board ladders and we're pretty high up. So, I now need to tidy it. Everything was just dumped. So I need to tidy all of that up before I start anything. Well, I'm amazed. That was quite a high lift on the boat, apparently, and nothing's fallen over. Everything exactly the way that I left it. Gosh. And I guess the big bonus is that having had the boat lifted, the T&G's still on, the lining's still on, the bulkheads are still up. The windows aren't smashed. Oh wow. So as you've seen, the boat is now pretty high up, right? The base of it is above my head, which is fine if you want to get underneath and paint the boat. But it does mean that trying to get more wood onto the boat is a monumental task. It would need some kind of lifting mechanism to get it up there. So all I'm going to do is pieces of wood that I cut for the bulkheads, I'm just going to finish prepping them up. At least it's prepped and ready, and when we've finished painting the boat, we'll put all of that on and finish the bulkheads. I have got lots of offcuts of the plywood, so the full sheets of plywood to make the fit in the lining. I've got lots of offcuts. I've decided to try and make my own track saw for my circular saw rather than spending £200 on a new one, and that's the cheap versions. I don't really want to go and spend £400 on a new track saw for a small number of cuts, really. I get the big cuts of the big sheets done at the lumber yard because it's cheap. So this is just really for cross cuts. So the idea is to take one of my sheet offcuts and then another offcut that I've got and put it in the saw will run along the side. At least that's the theory anyway. We just need to find a point where that works for both sides. So all I'm going to do now is mark this out, make sure it goes up on the centre, and then once I glue and screw it in, we'll have another look at it and show you what's next bit. But essentially, I'm aiming to make something like that. And now, once this is glued and screwed, we'll check it and we'll cut the excess off the edges, and that will make a sharp edge that fits the saw just like a track saw. Now, I saw this on YouTube when I was nursing my sore back, so it's bound to work, right? So I've cut the thing down to 4 foot, and then these bits of wood that I used for the battening for the ceiling I know are square because, again, these were factory cut, so they're all square. So I've now got a nice square edge that I can put on top. So there you go, I'm just about to glue it in. But the idea is, oh, let me grab my saw. That bit there is as wide as the saw cut on this side, and as wide as the saw cut on that side. So I can do a left and a hand cut. Once it's all glued up, what I'll then do is I'll run my saw along it, just like you would with a track saw, to cut off the little edge. That will cut off the edge here, and then it will give me a very straight edge, which I can then put on the cut lines rather than having to measure back, say, an amount of space for the blade from the saw edge. Right, that's it glued. Bit of clamp. I'll wipe off the excess glue. Oh, that shoved it. The glue I'm using is just white, just white PVA. Nothing particularly fancy. Right. Clamp it up. Right. And I've just stuck something heavy on it to hold it down. This is the moment you realise that all your good tools are on your boat and you're left with a crappy little drill screwdriver thing. But I'm only putting in 3 screws, so it's okay. Right, it's a couple of hours later, the glue's dry. Time to make the edge cuts on this. So all I'm going to do is put my saw on there and make an edge. That then gives me an edge there that I can put on a line, and I'm going to do the other side. because I want to be able to do it both left and right hand. Gives me a way to use either that side of the saw or that side of the saw. Just like that. Right, let's go and test it. So I guess the way to test it is, let's measure, let's say I want to make a cut 50 millimeters. So I'm drawing a line, put my cut track on there, just clamp it. Right, let's see if that's, oh, look at that. It worked. That's pretty cool. I'm quite pleased with that. It gives me something to use on the boat. Saves me measuring it out all the time. Ah, thanks YouTube, that was quite cool. Something to make when you're off work in pain. Yeah, quite kind of cool. I guess if you wanted to, I suppose you could put something like really fine sandpaper on the back as a grip, or just use clamps as I did. And I guess you could make a longer one of these, but as I said before, the big long cuts I get done at the lumber yard, so there's absolutely no point in making an 8-foot one of these. But that's a 4-foot, 1200 mil. I suppose you could make a smaller one, but that's good enough. So at this point, it's worthwhile saying thanks for watching, thanks for liking, and thanks for subscribing. Again, your comments are really helpful, and we'll see you next time.